that was tremendous. I'd like a copy of that. Great to see all of you here, and more than we've ever had before, right? You said it was a sellout, and we're bursting at the seams here. It is wonderful to see all of you. Jim mentioned that I do the news. I just got done doing 90 minutes of news, and I can tell you over 90 minutes, the biggest story that I just delivered was that the Bills have signed their #1 draft pick for $20 million over 4 years. So they're all set. They're all set as training camp starts today. It is my pleasure to be with you once again this year and to see Jackie's family here and her many, many friends in this room. As Jim mentioned, I have worked with charitable groups for over 30 years, almost 30 years in Western New York, and I can tell you it is remarkable that in just 3 or 4 years' time, this foundation has raised close to $400,000 for leukemia research and support, and it sounds like that number is going to take a jump tonight. It is a great tribute to the determined and dedicated members of the Hirsch family and their friends, but also a tremendous legacy left by this beautiful young woman here who touched so many people and continues to touch us in the important work of leukemia research done in her name. I never met Jackie. A lot of you did. I never did, but I was very aware of her struggle because of my long association with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and because, as I have noted in the past, because we were a part of a very special circle of Jackies that spell our name Jacquie. And, you stop correcting people on the spelling of your name after a while because you realize that's not a big deal. A big deal, though, is leukemia. Close to 30 years ago, when I began working with the Leukemia Society, we were losing a lot of children and adults to leukemia. But over the years, cure rates have risen dramatically for many forms of blood cancer. Why? Because all of your dollars to leukemia research are paying off. I worked next to Bob Coop, my former co-anchor at News 4, for 11 years and never knew that he had leukemia. Over those years, as new treatments and new discoveries were made, Bob was able to keep switching treatments and trying new things, effectively buying himself many more years of life. Ultimately, he did not survive. Jackie didn't survive. So the question is, why didn't they survive when so many other people have? That's a question for researchers, and that's the question that is driving her family to ask for your support of this foundation. Jackie believed, and remember, our theme is believe, it always is. She believed that there would be an answer someday to the mystery of acute lymphocytic leukemia, and her family, of course, also believes there will be an answer. The first woman I'm introducing tonight just may play a role in bringing that answer to the world. She is on the leading edge of discovering the secrets of human disease, including cancer, and we are honored by her dedication to her work, and it is a great honor to have her back with us tonight. Dr. Norma Nowak was a member of the elite international team that mapped the human genome in the late 1990s. In 2003, she was named Director of Science and Technology for the New York State Center for Excellence in Bioinformatics and Life Sciences. Dr. Nowak has received millions of dollars in research grants from the National Institutes of Health and various foundations. She has earned numerous scientific awards for her work. And about 3 years ago, I was very honored to be helping to present Dr. Nowak with the Dr. Thomas B. Tomasi Achievement Award, which is a premier award given by the Roswell Park Alliance Foundation. Dr. Nowak is quick to say that her work honors the memory of her late husband, Thomas Freeberg, who died of Hodgkin lymphoma in 1995 at the age of 38. She has a great understanding of what loss means and what it means to be inspired to find answers. She believes in the mission of this foundation. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce to you now Dr. Norma Nowak.
Wow, Jackie, that was quite the introduction. Thank you so very much. So I've spoken to you now for at least 3 years. And I am coming here again this evening with my colleague, Dr. Wang, and her spouse, Dr. A.L.L. And we have continued on in our dissection of acute lymphocytic leukemia and trying to develop a better understanding of, again, why do individuals develop hematologic malignancies, and when they do, how can we treat them effectively? One of the biggest challenges is that, again, we sequenced a human genome, and that genome was first brought to light in 2001. What we've learned since then, though, is that there are differences among all of us that affect the way we respond to treatment, and that we have to really better define the differences among individuals. And in treating individuals with disease like leukemia or other forms of cancer, we have to be smarter in how we treat them with regard to chemotherapy and targeted therapies. One of the biggest challenges is actually looking at all of the data that comes in through the wonderful technologies that we've been part of developing. And this year, I was very much inspired by the challenges in building our team and the need to really find expertise to help us sift through the data that we have been generating, in addition to new technologies that are coming about, such as next-generation sequencing. So we now have the ability to actually sequence a genome in a week. And it's something that we spent, I think, in the public project for the human genome, $3 billion doing. Now we can actually do that for $5,000 to $10,000. And we have the technology here in Buffalo. One of the things that we had to do was also add to our team and bring into Buffalo computational biologists to help us sort through all of this data and identify the mutations and find ways to identify molecules that we could then develop targeted therapies to. So along with Dr. Halfon's help and Dr. Wang's help, I put together a program called the Bioinformatics Hub and went to the John R. O'Shea Foundation and asked them to please help us fund this program to build the resources that we have at the university and Roswell Park and within our medical campus. We announced not that long ago an $850,000 grant to bring that expertise to Buffalo and basically help us as part of this project. So I am very heartened by the work that Eunice has been doing. I'm also heartened by the fact that we've continued to build that team, and that's really what it takes. It takes a team of people, and really you are all part of our team. I have never been more honored than when I was pulled into this project by Tori and Sharon to work on it, to try and figure out, again, how do we help people like Jacquie? When you look at that smile, you say to yourself, you carry her with you every day, and you think about her, and how do you solve a problem so that now your daughter or your sister or your friend has to go through the same battle that Jacquie went through. So, again, I'm totally inspired by all of you tonight. We're going to continue to work on solving identifying and solving the issues that cause acute lymphocytic leukemia. And I look at each one of you as my partner in that journey. Dr. Wang is also an inspiration to me with Dr. Halfon. They're not only my scientific colleagues, but they're my close friends, and their children are my surrogate grandchildren. So we truly are a family, and I look at you as our village, and it really does take a village to solve the kinds of disease that represent cancer. So I thank the Hirsches, and I'm honored by them having them as part of my family. And Tori and Sharon actually knew my late husband, Tom, but we didn't know that until about a year ago. But we are all a family, and I hope that you will spread the word about this foundation and help us continue in this fight. And now I think Dr. Wang will be coming up. And Jacquie, thank you. Thank you.
I think you can hear from Dr. Nowak's description how complicated this work is and how expensive it is and how important the support of this foundation is. Did you say that you can now sequence a gene in a week? In a week.
Just Jacquie, I think about how many years of my life was spent.
It took years initially, right? And now it's down to a week. That's powerful. That is really powerful. Our next guest, and of course Dr. Nowak has referred to her, is she has crisscrossed this country in search of education, experience, and more wisdom about the secrets of leukemia. She earned her medical degree from the University of Southern California School of Medicine. She completed a residency at Yale. She went on to a clinical hematology oncology fellowship at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City. But she joined the faculty here at Roswell Park in 2003 and has worked ever since as a doctor, professor, and researcher in the specialty of leukemia. Dr. Wang has been honored by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society for her service to patients, and she was named a mentored research scholar by the American Cancer Society. Along with Dr. Nowak, Dr. Wang has taken a very personal interest in Jacquie's case and the pursuit of answers about acute lymphocytic leukemia. So, ladies and gentlemen, my honor now to present to you Dr. Eunice Wang.
Thank you. I appreciate you all taking the time and out of your busy schedules to come here and remember Jacquie and how much she meant to us. And I think I've told this story before. I first met Jacquie in the very early morning hours of one day when she presented from college with a problem an eye issue. And at that point when I met her, she was scared, I was scared, it was very early morning. I was there to tell her that she had a diagnosis of acute lymphocytic leukemia. My goal at that time was to assure her that she would get the best in cancer care and we would do all that we could do to cure her of her disease. I met her parents. We fought that fight. Jacquie was brave and courageous through all of the months of her treatment, multiple chemotherapy rounds. She never said no. She said, I want everything done, and we struggled with her disease. Now, acute lymphocytic leukemia in children, you may find, has a cure rate of about 8 to 85%. But when it's diagnosed in a 20-year-old, in a young adult, as Jacquie does, for some reason those patients don't do as well. We struggled. We sent her to Memorial Sloan Kettering to get absolutely the best transplant care she could get. She came back to us. We gave her more chemo. She underwent 2 transplantations and multiple rounds of chemo in her fight to stay with us. And unfortunately, we lost that fight. And I can no longer see Jacquie except in my memories and in our pictures and in events like this, which honor her legacy and what she meant to us. But never in my career have I met a patient whose legacy and memory and good works have touched so many people. People on the street, in the hospital, in the cafeteria. You can tell by the people that are in attendance here. Everybody who met Jacquie in that hospital during her fight was touched by her personally, by her personality, by her bravery. And when she went to New York City, I heard the same stories from the nurses and the staff on the transplant team there. Jacquie was an incredibly gifted miracle, a person that I was honored to be involved in her care and her treatment. I can't see Jacquie anymore in person, but I see her in the lives that are touched by her legacy. I have her picture on my office wall. I look at her every day. I see her smile and her grace and her beauty. And that's a reminder to me about how we need to do more to understand this disease. Why was she not one of the ones that was cured? Why are the cure rates for acute lymphocytic leukemia in adults not as good as they are in children? Why are we not able to cure every child who has acute lymphocytic leukemia? We don't know what it was about the genetics of her disease that made her disease so resistant to all the treatment that we had. And that way we think her disease was a little unique, as she was in many other ways. And the goal of our work is to see what we can find out about her disease that made that disease take her away from us. Over the last 2 to 3 years of the work that's been funded by this foundation, we have gone and looked at all of the 33,000 genes that were in Jacquie's tumor. We have looked at 20 to 30 other patients that had similar diseases to what she had and who also did not survive. And we're in the process of analyzing those genes to see whether we can find a pattern, a target, something that will allow us to explain scientifically, if not emotionally, what happened to Jacquie and how we can prevent that from happening to other adults, other children, other patients. And we want to honor her legacy through our research efforts. The theme of this year is where in the world do you believe? My personal experience with Jacquie is that that everyone in the world who knows about her has been touched. Random people looking through her website have been touched. People who knew her third, fourth, fifth hand have come up to me and told me how much they meant, even if they never even met her. And I think you can say that all throughout the world there are people who believe in her and what she did and what her life stood for. We believe in her legacy. We believe that our efforts in her memory will somehow contribute to a cure for her disease. This year, using money from this foundation, we've collaborated with other researchers at our institute, Drs. Elizabeth Griffith and Michael Nemeth. We're looking at epigenetic changes that are characterize her particular type of leukemia. We've begun investigations of drugs which are being used for other cancers, and we're seeing whether they work in A.L.L. of her type. We are expanding the scope and the different aspects of our research to find that cure, to make it happen, and to honor all of the efforts, the huge, miraculous fundraising. Every year I'm amazed. Every year I think that they can't outdo it. But somehow the Hirsch family outdoes me. Every year I come and they have raised more and more and more money. And I'm just in amazement. So I thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be part of that effort, to come to this dinner, to sell out this event in her honor, and to contribute to a cure in Jacquie's memory. That's what I work for. I look at her picture every day. I talk to the Hirsches, and I thank you again for helping us in this great effort. Thank you.